Hi guys, welcome back. So tonight we're going to tie another salmon fly. So this is an Iain Bain special, or sort of a variant of it. And this is quite a small hook. This is, well, it's a partridge coat pea size 10, but to me that equates to something that's the size of a size 14 fly. So we're using black thread, and then for the butt I'm going to use this Glow Bright number 11, which is like a fluorescent yellow chartreusey sort of a colour. Tie that in and take it back down the shank a little bit. Now you can also add a silver portion to the rear of that if you want, but it's quite difficult on flies of this kind of size. So what I'm going to do is wrap a little butt of this fluorescent yellow thread and come through the legs and over the top and tie that in. Okay. Only takes a couple of turns. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bodkin and I'm going to take a bit of clear varnish and soak that in clear varnish, and that will just, when it dries, give you added sort of security. So I've seen these flies tied with all manner of stuff like biots and stuff, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use bucktail, and what I'm using here is a mix of yellow and like a real fluorescent yellow chartreuse. That's 50-50, and I'm only going to tie in a very sparse tail. There might be 10 fibres or so in this. I'm going to tie it in from the length of what my intended body shall be. So as you can see, we've stopped here. We haven't gone the full way back. The reason for that is to save on wraps, and I'm going to tie in 2 strands of a real fine pearl mirage or crinkle sort of. There, tie that back then to where it meets our little yellow butt. I'm going to tie this forward. I'm going to measure that back to a little bit behind the bend of my hooks and cut that off, because I'm going to include that in my wing. So for the body, what I'm going to do is take this is like a silver sort of mobile lure flash type product. I'll tie that in at the front. I've doubled it, tied it across the middle and doubled it, and now I have 2 strands here. So with them, I'm just going to run a little bit of super glue on them and then wrap them while that's still wet. Tie that off, fold it back. Now, you may need to wait for your glue to dry, or just dab it to get it out of the road, and then I'm going to cut that off because that's going to be included as the flash in my wing as well. So next we have a dyed red tippet feather, and I'm going to take the center out of it, and then I'm going to make a V, fold all the rest of this back. Now I'm not stripping it, I'm just folding it back because it will then become, I'll use it in the next fly. And I'm going to set that on the top, put on a couple of wraps, although they're not tight, across it, and then I'm going to pull this forward until I get it around about the length of the body here, maybe a little bit beyond. Tie it off and fold in our 2 little strands of pearl there, and that's our underwing. So Next part of this wing is a natural grey squirrel. So I'll take a little bunch of this, which I've put into a hair stacker, and I'll take a few fibres of that, measure them up, grip this end, trim flat, and the tiniest little dab of super glue into the cut end. Set that up, tie that down while that's wet, and that will set that in place. It's not going to fall out. So next thing I'm going to take is a little blue soft tackle. I'll snip the tip out of it, and then a little bit like we did with the golden pheasant in the wing, I'm going to create this sort of V effect. I'll flip the fly over, tie across that, and then I'm just going to pull it forward. And that way I find creates a controlled throat. So when we pull this forward to the length that suits us for a throat, I will then snip it off underneath, and you may be able to see we just have a middle of those tag ends sticking out. So now we need the top portion of the wing. So for this, what I've used is a black fox mask, because I don't think there's anything better for these types of little spiky fox wings. And again, when we have the bunch cut, we're just going to set a tiny little dab of super glue into the tip of it, measure it up for the length on the top, and set it in place, and then wrap that before the glue dries. So all that remains now to finish this fly is a couple of very small jungle cock. So what we're going to use these very tiny little bits down the bottom here. So we get a couple of them. Match them up now. I've nipped them off. I'll put one on here. One on there. Turn across, check them that I'm happy with them on each side, and that's us time to finish the fly. So for this one, what I'm going to do is take my super glue brush and just run 3 to 4 centimeters glue on the thread, and as you wrap, that'll create a blob. Just half inch into it. And that is our fly tied. We just have to wait for that to dry, and then we'll do a coat of black varnish, and then a coat of clear varnish to finish that. Small fly, a few considerations for tying something of that size to try and keep it halfway neat. So if you liked what you see, give us a like, subscribe, tell your friends, and until next time, tight lines, and thanks for watching.